What's up, guys? Today we have a clip of Steven Crowder completely destroying a trans mayor in a heated debate about trans people in public spaces.
Jess Herbst, mayor of New Hope, Texas. Do I have that right?
Absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess, for being on the program. So we've been talking about this issue today, a lot about the transgender issue. Listen, obviously this is a hot button issue right now. You've been very outspoken. You've been upset about the bathroom bill. Donald Trump has kicked this back to the states, and in Texas they want people to use the bathroom according to their biological sex. Why do we have a problem with that?
Well, let's see. Because do you want me in the bathroom with you? And do you want trans men in the bathroom with your wives and girlfriends? We've been using the bathroom since the dawn of time. It's never been a problem until somebody had an issue. And the whole bathroom bill is a smokescreen anyway. That's really not what this bill is about. This bill is about taking the rights of the city to make anti-discrimination laws away from them. The only reason that they want to do this, city of Plano, city of Dallas, city of Austin, several cities in Texas, just like Charlotte, North Carolina, have passed their own anti-LGBT discrimination laws. They say you can't discriminate. Austin doesn't want that. They want to have that control for themselves. Same thing with North Carolina. North Carolina passed that bill not for bathrooms. They were upset because Charlotte had passed their own anti-discrimination bill, and they wanted to control it. And if you were a legislator and you wanted to say, we're going to use the state to take the city's rights to pass their own individual ordinances away from them, would you tell people that? Would you say, hey, we're here to pass a bill to take your rights as a city away? No, you wouldn't get 2 inches with that. So what you're going to do is make them afraid. You're going to say, hey, let's come up with an issue like transgender people. People will be afraid of that, and that you can beat the drum around that. And people who don't understand transgender people are just automatically afraid of it. It's like, oh my God, they're weird. There's something wrong with them.
Hold on a second. What if they're not afraid? What if they just disagree? What if they just disagree and they think, because gender has no basis in biology? Let's talk about sex. I'm just saying, shouldn't you allow for room that maybe someone can just disagree and not be afraid or not be discriminating? They just disagree and they think you're born a man.
Let me ask you a question. The last time you were in the stall in a bathroom, did you know what was between the legs of the person in the stall next to you?
No, but we're not just talking about the stalls. We're talking about the common areas, and that's beside the point of, again, this is an idea. There are major institutions in the United States that revolve around sex, higher education. When you talk about scholastic programs, bathrooms are a portion of that, and there is a legitimate argument, legitimate grievance from people, particularly parents, who say, okay, bathrooms, but now we see with sports, with this girl who's transitioning into a boy who just won in your state, a Texas state wrestling title. There's no basis in biology for gender compared to sex. And if someone says is that hateful?
Well, no, but that's not actually true. There is basis in biology. There have been quite a few studies that show that there's a distinct difference in the brain of a transgender individual than there is in a cisgender individual. So there is a basis in biology. There is something different about us. We didn't wake up in the morning and go, gee, I think we're going to do this. This is something you're born with, and you live this for your whole life. As far as the
I'll disagree with you there. We can go back to it, but I'll disagree with you there, and I have some scientific studies in front of me. Again, keeping it respectful, just disagreeing. I want to make sure we allow for room where someone is not afraid or thinks someone's weird. It's okay.
You are confusing SB 6 with the president's guidance. The guidance deals with schools, and you're right. When you get to a locker room where there's open areas, there needs to be some concession made there to make sure that people aren't looking at each other's genitals. But SB 6 has nothing to do with locker rooms. It has to do with public bathrooms.
Sure.
And again, I don't want to know what the gender or what's between the legs of the person next to me in the stall. I just want to go in and pee and then come out. I've been doing it for years. I've never heard anybody.
Right, but the onus is on you at that point, because there are people for a long time, people have been going to the bathroom that is assigned by their biological sex. There is biological sex. It's not a social construct that exists. And most people are uncomfortable with changing that. They want to go into the bathroom with biological women or biological males. That's the issue. So it doesn't matter if you just want to pee. So do they. They just want to pee. So it comes down to the issue of science, not about feelings. And
don't you really find it crazy, the fact that, okay, it's not that deep, I just want to pee. Dude, you're the ones that want us to change the rule. Like, why are you acting like it's not that deep? It's that deep for you guys, because you guys don't accept reality. Like, the trans guy is acting like, well, you don't check the genitals. Okay, so go to your biological sex bathroom if it's not a problem, right? they don't check your genitals, right? And even if they check, I mean, they will be right. So what is the problem exactly? It's like they make the problem, we expose the problem, and now we are the ones complaining? Dude, it's your fault. What the fuck?
The biggest study that's been conducted, I have the abstract right here. Prior to cross-sex hormone treatment, no differences in brain volumes between transsexuals and comparison subjects were found. The changes only happen when we put it in a controlled clinical trial study after cross hormone replacement therapy. Now, again, we're just getting into sense. This doesn't mean that you can't make your own personal decisions on how you want to live your life, but enforcing them upon people who disagree and they disagree on a scientific basis is why I think this is such a hot button issue.
Yeah, but you're citing one study. There are several other studies that show something completely different. There's not a whole lot of studies on transgender. They didn't even begin. The word didn't even come about until the 70s.
That's true.
And there are just as many studies that show that yes, there's brain differences before cross-sex hormones, and there's studies that show they don't happen. It just depends on which study you look at and who you're listening to. The point of the matter is, people really don't know why we're transgender. And the thing is, if you don't know that the person next to you is transgender, why do you care? Why do you want to
Because
force
we do
me
know what their
into-
sex is. So for
No, you
operating on
don't.
you don't know,
Do you?
you do know what their sex is.
How do you know what my
Biological
sex
sex
is?
can be scientifically determined. I'm not talking about going
Yeah, so
in and
when I-
having mirrored
when I go-
shoes, looking at everyone's hoo-ha's or penis.
So then how do you know?
Because of how you were born.
So
As a male or female, and then that's the rule set forward. Just like you have to, if you go to an all-male school, if you go to an all-female school, if you get to compete on a female track team, if you get to compete on a male's wrestling team, it's you're a male or a female.
Okay. I'm sorry, but if you know the biological sex, the way somebody was born, of a perfect stranger in the bathroom next to you, you're doing something wrong. There's something wrong with what you're doing. You shouldn't know what that person has between their legs. Go in there and pee. Leave them alone. It's not.
Yes, guys, let's pretend you cannot tell when somebody's trans, right?
This is about the institution and the idea of sex, of biological sex.
It's just about the idea. You think you know what I am, so therefore you're going to get upset about it. Let me give you an example. Here in Texas,
Biologically, you are a man. That's not an insult. Biologically, you are a man. Your sex is male.
We're not going to worry about me. Let's talk about.
Well, you said you think you know who I am, so I'm just saying that. Yes, biologically, you are a male.
So in Frisco, not too long ago, a man saw what they thought was a transgender woman going in the bathroom. He went in the bathroom, drug her out, and assaulted her. She just happened to be a
big girl,
little bit masculine. Yeah.
And they get the short end of the stick, big girls, because they don't get the benefit of the doubt. By the way, that's abhorrent, totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable, but it's anecdotal. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, it is, because you're saying that I'm going to know the sex of somebody else, not me. You've seen Laverne Cox. What bathroom does she use? If you didn't know, if you didn't ask, if you didn't look, you wouldn't know. If you didn't know, it wouldn't be a problem. That's the whole point. We've been doing this. You've been going to the bathroom with transgender people your whole life.
No, listen. That's not true.
Really?
We can tell.
It is true.
We can tell.
No, you can't.
Jess, respectfully, I can tell.
Okay, I've been on hormones for 2 years. I'm 58 years old. I'm not that good, but trust me, there are people you can't tell. There are lots of people you can't tell. And you've been going to the bathroom with them. See, the problem is that it's not the people that are, we hate to use the term passable. It's the people like me that are not passable.
Right.
That freaks you out.
Well, then that contradicts your idea that you would never know. Again, that's the issue, that people do know, and people people since the beginning of time who agree on this biologically determined idea of sex don't want to upend it because of a political movement of gender. I don't think that's right.
That's not really the case. The whole
tell me how I'm wrong.
What gender bathrooms did? There were not men and women bathrooms until about the 1890s. Before that, there were no men and women bathrooms. Most societies, going back to the end of time, have had multiple genders. Transgender is something that has been accepted in cultures since the beginning of time. It wasn't until the modern age that things started changing.
But that's not entirely accurate. People who you can talk about eunuchs, you can talk about manservants, you can talk about people who effectively acted as an amoeba filling the role that was determined for them at the time, which I don't necessarily think is a good basis for our current society. But our current society, right now in the modern world, we recognize sex biologically. the onus is on someone else who wants to upend that because of a political movement based on gender. And I don't believe that anyone's made a convincing argument. I don't think there's anything wrong with a state or a city saying you use the bathroom that applies to your sex. There is no biology for the basis of gender and how someone identifies or feels.
Yes, they want us to change the world for the mental illness and act like it's no big deal. Like, what the fuck? But guys, let me know in the comments what you think, if you agree or disagree. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to. Christ is King, and God bless.